You're listening to Keith Sports News. Hey guys, how are y'all doing on a special Tuesday edition of KSN? That's right. You're probably wondering, why didn't I do this on Monday? Well, the answer is real simple. I just didn't have the time. Yeah, I just didn't have the time to record. That is really the only reason why this episode is on a Tuesday. So, for those of you that have been following this podcast for a while, 2 episodes a week, usually on Mondays and Fridays, because those are the 2 biggest days in sports talk, okay? But once in a while, if I don't have the time to record and have the video ready to be released on Monday at 11 a.m., then it'll be the next day, Tuesday. So, thank y'all for being patient, for those of you that actually follow the episodes. And, it's actually 12:43 a.m. on Tuesday. I was sort of thinking, should I just go to sleep and wake up, then record the episode before I go to work? But then I'm like, nah, I can do it now. I say that because I am tired. I didn't get much sleep last night. That is also another reason why I didn't want to record a day ago. So yeah. Welcome to KSN episode 64, like the Nintendo 64. That console, I believe, came out in 1996. So next year, it'll be the 30th anniversary of that console, which is crazy. And one of the first games, if not the first, Nintendo 64 games, as well as the first Mario game that I remember playing for the first time, was Mario Kart 64. I got pretty addicted to that game. I like that game more than Mario 64. Yeah. And the Nintendo 64, 1996 into the late 90s, early 2000s. You know what was great in those years? Pro wrestling. And look at the shirt that I'm wearing. WCW Monday Nitro. Some of you may know this. I watch old wrestling on a weekly basis. Mainly, the Monday Night Wars era between WCW and WWF. So I was watching a Monday Nitro episode, and that's why I wore the shirt. I'm in the year 1998. What the heck? Wait, what's that sound? Is that my laptop making that sound? I guess so. No, it's not. Okay, so over there where I'm pointing at, well, you can't see it, but in there, it's a bar room. We have an ice maker, and it's making that sound. At first, I'm like, is that coming from my laptop? So, yeah, now it's coming from over there. There's like a fan. Anyways, yeah. Old pro wrestling. And, I mentioned this before, I'm not a huge fan of today's pro wrestling, but I really like listening to these wrestling podcasts of them talking about today's WWE. Not every single day, but on a weekly basis. So, yeah. I have to say, without those shows, I wouldn't be interested in watching some of today's WWE from time to time. Without SiriusXM, I wouldn't be able to listen to those shows. And without those, I would be less interested in what's happening today's WWE. I gotta say, today's WWE is bigger than ever. It is. Whether if you follow it or not, whether you like it or not, it is bigger than ever. Yeah, man, it's crazy. So, it is very, very successful. It's really worldwide. It really is. Okay. So, what are we going to talk about? Remember, I used to say that in the early episodes? Well, now I'm kind of saying that more often because I made a Google Doc of a list of things that I want to talk about on what happened this past weekend. The main thing is the CFL Week 11 recap, the Friday night game, and the Saturday doubleheader games. All right. So, and then I'll give you my Week 12 Thursday night prediction. Okay, so Friday night was the Toronto Argonauts against the Edmonton Elks. I did pick the Argonauts to win because, CFL is unpredictable, like Major League Baseball, where any team can beat any team can lose to any team. The game was at Edmonton, and I didn't watch this game live. However, I checked to see if TSN 2 had the late night replay on, and they did. So I watched the late night replay of that game. Okay? Yeah, TSN has like 5 channels, but TSN 2 is for, 24/7 sports programming. A lot of it, it's top 10 shows, late night replays, and then they'll have some live programming as well, stuff like that. So that, I'm glad I was able to tune in for that. Oh, by the way, I don't think I mentioned this before. I currently don't have YouTube TV anymore. The reason why is because apparently they raised up the price, and I don't think it's worth it to me. Plus, I'm not on YouTube every day anyways, so, but it was fun having it. It was great to have it for its time. The best part about YouTube TV is recording, DVR stuff, unlimited. Yeah. It's basically the new cable now, Years ago, I used to have Cox cable, and Cox cable has always been expensive. Then we finally got rid of Cox cable, and we've been with Cox internet ever since. And we got to have internet, So, yeah, got rid of YouTube TV. And I also heard that Netflix, they also raised up their price. The only thing I really watch on Netflix is some WWE programming. Although, one night I was just browsing through all of the categories and a whole bunch of shows and movies and programs to see which ones I find interesting. Some of them I added them to my library or my stuff, whatever it's called, and a lot of them I never got into watching them yet. Yeah, but we technically still have Netflix. Um, Instead, we're not paying the full price of Netflix. We're paying a cheaper version because the full version is more expensive. So what I mean by the cheaper version is that you'll get some ads on the programs, which I don't mind. And I would watch the old WWE Monday Night Raw shows sometimes. And I haven't done that in a while, but earlier this year there was like only 2 or 3 ads, and the ads weren't long. So I'm like, oh well, this is much better than Peacock in terms of the ads. Because years ago, before I paid Peacock Premium, there were a lot more ads on Peacock. Yeah. But then I just got, I got kind of tired of the ads, so I decided to pay Peacock Premium, just like YouTube Premium. I'm on YouTube literally every night. I am. So that to me is worth it. YouTube Premium, Peacock Premium, and I also pay for SiriusXM every month because I'm on SiriusXM almost every day listening to these podcasts. I got rid of ESPN Plus not too long ago because I don't use it much. Let me tell you something. If you want to save money, cancel a subscription that you're not using very much. I know we got so many of these streaming apps. This is like the future, if not right now. You think about it. You got Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV Plus. You got Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. You got Sunday Night Football on Peacock. Of course, ESPN Plus. I think that's like the first streaming service for sports I think. They got a lot on there. And this just popped into my head. I heard that, I might as well say this now before I forget. Sorry. I'll get back into the CFL recap in just a bit here. So let me add this to my list so that I don't forget. Okay. So I heard the other week the UFC, their events are going to be on Paramount Plus next year, and WWE's premium live events, formerly known as pay-per-views, they're going to be on ESPN Plus or the ESPN app or whatever in 2026. I haven't really done much research on that, mainly because I'm not a big UFC and WWE fan. But I saw a video of someone talking about the WWE moving to ESPN in 2026, and basically you have to pay more. Well, that sucks. People, I read comments. And people are unhappy about that. And to be honest, I don't blame them. Yeah. WWE's contract with Peacock expires, I think, at the end of the year or early next year. And after that, it's going to ESPN. I think you got to pay like, what, $30 a month $30 a month compared to $13 a month. You're paying, wow, that's more than doubled the price. And I think this is real news too. I don't think this is a rumor. I think this is real news. So, yeah. But since I'm not a big WWE fan, why would I pay that much money per month on something that I'm not going to be using very much? You know, if I ever get back into it, or if I watch it like almost every week, maybe I'll get it, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. But like I said, I have SiriusXM where I listen to these pro wrestling podcasts, and I find these podcasts very entertaining to listen to. And they have a YouTube channel. I mean, they're not going to post the full show, the full events on there, but they'll post some clips, highlights. That's good enough for me anyways. So, by the way, if you're a WWE fan, next year, New Orleans was supposed to host WrestleMania. But instead, Vegas is getting WrestleMania again. But New Orleans will host a future WrestleMania. And about 1 year from now, a little over a year from now, they're going to be hosting Money in the Bank 2026. That's going to be in New Orleans next year in late August. I think my brother's going to go to that. Will I go? I don't know. Maybe. If I really do go, then I'll let you know. Hey, there's something that I think I really will go. I'll save that for last. Let me type that down so that I don't forget. But if I really do go to next year's Money in the Bank, I'm sure I'll have a good time. I would like to go to next year's Royal Rumble. Or excuse me, I take that back. Well, next year's Royal Rumble's in Saudi Arabia. I meant to say if New Orleans hosts a Royal Rumble event, I would like to go to that. That's what I meant to say. Because, Royal Rumble, you get 30 men and 30 women in Royal Rumble matches. You get to see that many wrestlers, Man, it's going to be so weird to watch next year's Royal Rumble, especially the women's Royal Rumble. That's going to be very strange to watch because it's in Saudi Arabia and they have to, they can't show their skin. They got to wear full clothing. What the heck? I think it would be better if Saudi Arabia hosts SummerSlam. Well, it would have to be one night SummerSlam, but you know what I mean. It's always hot there anyways, In my opinion, the UK should host a Royal Rumble. That would be fantastic. Anyways. All right, back to the CFL. Sorry about that. Again, sometimes it's like that. I'll talk about one topic that leads to another topic, and then I'll go back to the topic that I was going to talk about. Sorry if I sound like I'm all over the place. I hope that doesn't bother anyone. All right. Back to the CFL Week 11 recap for Friday night and the doubleheader Saturday games. So again, I didn't watch the Friday night game live, but I watched the late night replay, and I thought the Argonauts would win that game. But I wasn't confident, though. These are the two last-place teams. Last-place Argonauts in the East Division and the last place Elks in the West Division. The game was pretty close. The game was close until the fourth quarter. The Elks got another big win. 28-20. And at the end, I think towards the end of the game, I forgot which team challenged. Some team challenged. One of those teams did a challenge. It's hard to remember because this was 3 nights ago, But basically, the Argonauts head coach, he slammed his headset. And no Chad Kelly. Still no Chad Kelly. I don't know if he's coming back anytime soon. Now, I remember listening to the Sports Center show of them talking about this game, and they were saying that Argonauts, they basically need to win the rest of their games. What if they actually do that? But they said it's not going to be easy, obviously. They're 2-8. The defending Grey Cup champions are 2-8. That's crazy. Now they have the worst record because now the Edmonton Elks are 3-6. Saturday, the biggest matchup of the year because it was against the first placed East Division team, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, against the first place West Division team, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And the Roughriders did not play in Week 10. They had a bye, so they were the fresher team. That's the main reason why I picked them to win this game. And plus, they were at home. And I did say the Roughriders, they might win this game somewhat easily. And they did. They did. Roughriders, oh my goodness, scored 18 points in the second quarter. A touchdown in the third quarter. Nothing was going, not much offense for the Tiger Cats. Roughriders won 29-9. And they are clearly the best team. They're 8-1. Oh man, Rider Nation, look out now. And then the last game, my favorite team was playing, the Montreal Alouettes, against the BC Lions at BC Place. And I think I did pick Montreal to win. I'm like, okay, they got to bounce back after losing at home to Edmonton by 1 point. And that didn't happen. And you know what? I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised that they didn't win. But I didn't thought they would lose by 18 points. Not much happened for the Alouettes. The BC Lions played a great game. They won 36-18, which means both teams are 5-5. Alouettes, they didn't have their starting quarterback. And let me just say this. When you don't have your starting quarterback, that's a big difference. That just shows you how important the quarterback is, man. It is. Hopefully they can get their quarterback back soon. I mean, there's still a lot of weeks left in the season, but the regular season is a little halfway over now. Week 11 is officially in the books here. So, quick look at the standings. The Tiger Cats remain in first place in the East Division, 6-4. Alouettes are behind them, 5-5. Red Blacks, 3-7. Argonauts, 2-8. In the West Division, the Roughriders 8-1, Stampeders 6-3, Blue Bombers 5-4, Lions 5-5, and the Elks 3-6. All right. Now, my quick prediction for Week 12, Thursday night. This is an interesting one because it's my favorite team against Five Tayer's favorite team. Five Tayer. He's a Winnipeg Blue Bombers fan. And you guys know I'm a Montreal Alouettes fan. And Keith Sports News is his favorite podcast. That's awesome. So for the first time this season, our two favorite teams meet. I don't know what to expect. I think this might be a close game. Game's in Montreal. I can see this go either way. It's really a must-win for... I think it's more of a must-win for the Blue Bombers because they're in third place in the West Division. Yeah, this ought to be interesting. Thursday night. These two teams met in the Grey Cup 2023, and that was a fantastic game. I think I got to go with that. My favorite team. Sorry, Five Tayer. I think I have to go with my favorite team because, they're the home team. They can't lose again. They can't lose 3 in a row. Or no, 4 in a row. They actually lost 3 in a row. Yeah, I think they gotta win. All right, I said it. They're gonna win, but I'm not confident. It's gonna be interesting to watch. And you know what? The next live stream on this channel will be me watching that game live Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. I'm going to do it. And hopefully, my upload speed won't be very low. Okay? So, we'll just see. Turn on that notification bell so that you know when I'll go live. I think that'll be a great game to watch. With you, Five Tayer, and if anyone else is interested. All right. Our favorite teams meet Week 12, Thursday, August 21st at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Yes, I am available to do a live stream of that game, of me watching that game. It's gonna be interesting, and I'm gonna do it right in here. Yes, same room that I'm in right now, the same room where I watched the MLB All-Star Game. Yeah, my bedroom TV is still right there, by the way. So yeah, that's great. All right. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is, you guys know I have the ESPN app, which is great to have. It's free. You get to listen to there's a lot of podcasts on there that you can listen to for free. And you can follow a bunch of leagues, news, scores, whatever. And I got like 2 notifications that it says breaking news here. Carlos Alcaraz in tennis wins Cincinnati Open after Jannik Sinner retires in the first set. Both play mixed doubles at US Open on Tuesday. So wait, The Cincinnati Open ended on Monday afternoon. I didn't watch any of the Cincinnati Open. I forgot about it, but I was kind of waiting for the U.S. Open to start anyways. So did the Cincinnati Open, it ended on a Monday instead of a Sunday? Is it because of a rain delay? That has to be the reason, right? But that's a shame. Jannik Sinner, the number one player in the world, had to retire in the first set. Yeah. These two guys, these two fantastic players met at the French Open final, the Wimbledon final, and I said after the Wimbledon final, they might meet again in the US Open final. I don't know. I don't know about that. After Jannik Sinner got injured, it doesn't say how he got injured. It doesn't say why he had to retire in the first set. And by the way, speaking of the US Open, I thought the US Open began yesterday. But no, this week they're having qualifiers, which I never watch. And apparently, they're having mixed doubles already. They're having mixed doubles later this week. I don't know why it's early this year, but I thought, because I remember right before ESPN went off the air, the Wimbledon final, they said, we'll be back on August 18th, Monday, for the U.S. Open. I'm like, oh, so it's a week earlier now? They must have listened to the fans, because the U.S. Open finals is always during college football Saturday and NFL Sunday. But when I look at the schedule, no. The main draw, the singles draw, doesn't begin until next Monday of next week. Yeah. So I get that means the final, the women's final is going to be in the middle of college football Saturday, and the men's final is going to be in the middle of NFL Sunday. They're going to do that again, like they've done for years. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to compete against football, man. American football. I can't just say football. I don't know why they can't have the tournament a week earlier. So that way, okay, you can have the finals. Yeah. Like I thought the main draw would begin on August 18th. And usually the Grand Slam tournaments lasts about 2 weeks. So I'm like, okay, the women's final is going to be on August 30th, Saturday, August 30th, and the men's final is going to be on Sunday, August 31st, right? No. Instead, they're doing the same thing, having the women's final on a college football Saturday, September 6th, and the men's final on the first NFL Sunday of the year. I mean, the reason why it should be a week earlier so that you're not going to compete with football. Although college football does begin on the last weekend in August, but a lot of the week 1 games are blowout games anyways. Well, there are some big matchups. I will say that. There are some big matchups. But, like the early weeks of college football, a lot of the games are not huge matchups. They would save those for later, Like, I'm talking about conference games. Yeah. But, yeah, because, like, last year or for the past years, or I don't know how many years they've been doing this, having the women's final in the middle of a college football Saturday afternoon and having the men's final on the first NFL Sunday in the middle of the afternoon. Why can't they be during nighttime, prime time? So the U.S. Open, they rather have the men's final compete against a bunch of NFL Sunday afternoon games instead of just one NFL Sunday night game. Yes, Sunday night game. I think the Sunday night game is is it the Baltimore Ravens Buffalo Bills game? Let me look at that. Let me check that real quick. If it is, then that's a big matchup. The answer is yes. Wow. The first Sunday night football game of the season is a big one. That's why the U.S. Open should have their tournament a week earlier so you don't have to compete with the NFL. You know what I'm saying? I mentioned in the last episode, the World Series are going to have to compete against a Monday Night Football game, and that Monday Night Football game's a big one. Kansas City Chiefs against the Washington Commanders. I'm just saying, but it is what it is, man. A lot of times, the NFL wins. In terms of the ratings, NFL usually wins. For whatever reason, last year on Christmas Day, even though Christmas Day was on a Wednesday, they had 3 NFL games, and I think those games had more ratings than NBA games on Christmas Day. Can you believe that? But I think those games were blowout games. Okay. Even though those games are on Netflix, but I think everyone has Netflix. I think Netflix is the number one popular streaming app because it's been around the longest. And now Netflix is going to have some sporting events from time to time. I guess this is the future, huh? All right, then. But yeah, apparently they're having mixed doubles later this week. And next week will be the main draw, right? So I'll try my best to follow that, even though I got rid of YouTube TV. But it's in New York City. They're in Eastern time, so I'll be able to watch a lot of their coverage live anyways. Unlike Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, other side of the world, this will be much easier to follow because they're in Eastern time. All right. Okay. One of my longtime YouTube friends, even though we don't really chat much. His name is, remember that big episode I did, that 2-hour plus episode of me talking to you guys about my favorite sports podcasts? Well, there's one on YouTube. It's technically not a podcast, but his channel's called Johnny Sports Network. Used to be called Johnny Talks Sports. I get notifications from him. He talks a lot American football. He posted a video of his college football week 0 predictions. So, yeah, I don't know why. Technically, college football begins this weekend, the regular season. But even though this weekend there's only a couple of games, the weekend after that is week 1. That's where you get a whole bunch of games. I don't know why they always do it like that. But I usually don't watch any week 0 games anyways, But I guess I'll go through the games or just see which ones are interesting to me. Week 0. We got Saturday, 11 a.m. Central, number 22 Iowa State against number 17 Kansas State. It's called the AER Lingus College Football Classic. I don't know what that is. Is this game going to be at a neutral field? I remember like a couple years ago, Florida State played Notre Dame, I think, in Ireland. Oh, this game is also going to be in Ireland. Okay. I don't know if I'll watch it though, but that's like a yearly tradition for them. But yeah, that's the big game next or this upcoming Saturday, week 0. So last episode, or might have been the episode before that, but one of the 2 episodes last week, I went through the rankings, the top 25 rankings. Even though to me the rankings don't mean anything right now because the season hasn't begun yet. So I'll talk more about the upcoming college football season in the next episode and the episodes next week. Okay. Let's get a quick check on the MLB standings. The last episode was called Milwaukee Brewers on Fire. I'm gonna see if they kept their winning streak. They won 12 games in a row at the time of that episode was released. What if they kept winning? Oh my gosh, what is the longest winning streak? I remember like a couple years ago, the Tampa Bay Rays, they won a bunch of games in a row after the season started. Yeah. I think it was in 2022 or 2023. But there's a way, if you have the ESPN app, well, actually, mainly on your computer, laptop, you can go to ESPN.com and you can look at the history of a certain team's win-loss record. It's really cool. It's really cool. But on the app, you can't do that, I don't think. All right, I'm gonna do a quick check on the rankings here. Okay, so the American League East, the Toronto Blue Jays are still in first place. The New York Yankees the Yankees and Red Sox are 5 games behind. Okay. In the Central, the Detroit Tigers are still in first place. Cleveland Guardians are 8.5 games behind. And then the Kansas City Royals, 9 games behind. The West, the Houston Astros are still in first place. But the Seattle Mariners are right behind them, 1.5 game behind. Texas Rangers, 7.5 games behind. National League East, the Philadelphia Phillies are still in first place. New York Mets, second place, 5.5 games behind. I'm just reading off the teams that are probably going to make the playoffs, or most of these teams that I'm mentioning are going to make the playoffs, but there might be a team or two that won't. But there's still a lot left of the season. Well, there's still quite a lot of games left to be played in the span of a month and a week, I think, but that'll go by fast. National League Central, okay, Milwaukee Brewers still in first place, 79 wins and 45 losses. They have the most wins. Did they keep their streak going? No. But they won 9 out of their last 10 games. Amazing. Chicago Cubs, 5 Tayers team, favorite team. That team was in first place for a while, but now they're 9 games behind. But I think the Cubs are still going to make the postseason. And I can't say the same with the Cincinnati Reds, 14 games behind. And in the National League West, the LA Dodgers, they retook the lead. First place in that division, 71 wins, 54 losses. The San Diego Padres, 2 games behind. And the San Francisco Giants, 10 games behind. Speaking of the San Francisco Giants, my brother actually went to a Giants game in San Francisco on Saturday night, this past Saturday night, when they played against the Tampa Bay Rays. And he told me, he sent me pictures of him at the stadium. And I'm like, oh, wow, I'll have to tune in. So that's what I did. I tuned in after the CFL game. And Justin Verlander was pitching. Justin Verlander, the former Houston Astros pitcher, the former Detroit Tigers pitcher, somehow he's still pitching. He's like 42 years old? But he did great. He put on a great performance. And that game was scoreless until the 6th inning. The Giants scored a run. The Rays got 1 hit at the time of the Giants scoring their first run. But then the Rays got 2 runs later in the game, and that's how they won. That's crazy, man. But I hope my brother had a good time. I'm sure he did. I think I'm going to see him in 2 weeks, the last weekend of August, which is also Labor Day weekend because that's his birthday. So I'm sure we're going to talk about that. I wonder if the Giants are going to make the postseason. Colorado Rockies. Sorry if you're a Rockies fan, which I'm pretty sure no one's a Rockies fan listening to this episode. 36 wins and 89 losses. 35 games behind, man. But it looks like they're probably not going to break the record because their last 10 games, 6-4. Yeah, they won 6 out of their last 10 games. They're now 36 and 89. They have been winning quite a bit of games after the All-Star break. So they're probably not going to break the record. The second worst team is the Chicago White Sox. It is. They're 45 and 80. They're 45 and 80, so they're like 9 games ahead. They have 9 more wins. Somehow, the Rockies can pass the White Sox wins. What if that happens? Oh my gosh. All right, I think I talked about everything that I wanted to talk about until this last piece of news that I want to share with you guys. So I mentioned that earlier this year, I really want to go to the World Baseball Classic next year in March because Houston is one of the cities that will be hosting. That's where Team USA will be playing their games at, and Team Mexico, and Team Great Britain, and Team Brazil. And I think there's another team. I forget. Italy. Yeah. Well, I think I'm really going to that. And the game that I'm going to try to go to, March 7th, Saturday, 2026, Team Great Britain against Team USA in Dyken Park. That is the game that I'm trying to go to, and I think I think it's going to work out. I'll let you know if I somehow get the tickets. But if I'm legitimately going to that game, that's going to be awesome. That's going to be awesome. Yes, indeed. All right, guys. Hey, you're going to see me again pretty soon. Thursday night. I'll try to go live watching that Thursday night football game, CFL game. And the next episode should be on Friday. See you then.
Thank you for listening to Keith Sports News.